In news that would shock, much like there being CD Projekt Red news, in news that would shock nobody at this point, Mr. Blank. A former executive assistant at Riot Games is accusing Riot CEO Nicolas Laurent I'm guessing that's, I'm reading that like I was Canadian French, of creating a hostile work environment. Claims range from unwanted sexual advances to demeaning comments about their tone and femininity. Also claims she was slowly stripped of responsibilities at work before eventually being fired in July of last year for not accepting his advances. There's a couple more things outlined here, though. Just quickly outline here because it adds a little bit more context. That if they were legit quotes is fucking wild. Oh, yeah, so in a January 7th filing, this is off of the Washington Post's article, O'Donnell alleges, so that's the lady here, alleges that Laurent invited her to travel with him and work from his home when his wife would not be there, and directed numerous sexual comments to her, including remarks about the fit of his underwear, which is oddly specific, and yet doesn't sound like something the guy wouldn't do at some point. Laurent also, Laurent asked O'Donnell whether she, quote, could handle him when they were alone at his house, end quote, according to the filing. According to the lawsuit, when O'Donnell refused, Laurent became angry and hostile, and O'Donnell's workplace responsibilities were limited, ultimately resulting in her termination. So we already know, for example, that Riot in the last couple of years, and we've talked about it on the podcast, has been not just alleged, but basically proven to have the bro culture thing going on there, right? They settled out of court, so you know there's some shit going on. They just paid up and said, fuck it, we don't want this to go into court because it's going to be even more public than it already is. We don't want to deal with that shit, so we'll just give them the money outside of court and then tell everyone that we're going to improve our internal, corporate culture and move forward with it. So if this, and we'll have to wait and see if they settle outside of court again. I don't fucking know. We're gonna find out. They're either gonna settle or they're gonna go to court. So one way or the other, we'll know. But it wouldn't shock me. I mean, at this point, there's been so many claims from men and women at Riot about this kind of stuff over the last, 3 or 4 years that here's two more scenarios. One, this is a legitimate thing, and honestly, it wouldn't be shocking if it was. Or two, and I'm not saying that this is my position, but if this seems to be like the two kind of main branching paths here, or two, because they've gotten hit with so much shit, if she was let go, maybe this is a malicious kind of retaliation and using what's already been settled for outside of court as a way to gain something for themselves. But I mean, that's an awful lot of legal fees and shit to take on as a risk to try and make that happen. And I don't know if I have an opinion one way or the other about it, but I do know this. I haven't seen, of all the stuff, I haven't seen a hell of a lot of people from Riot come out and talk positively about Riot. Is like the only indication that I get that maybe people are working there because they really do love the games, and they probably enjoy a lot of their coworkers. But I suspect that it is probably a business environment where the top of the company is less than fun to work with, and people just kind of put up with the shit a lot of the times is more than likely, given what we've already seen settled outside of court. So there you go. We'll wait and see what develops more out of that. I know Jeff is going to say that he doesn't have anything to say because there's nothing to say about it right now. there isn't.
I can't really add anything because it's just like,
we have to wait and see what comes out of that.
What happens, right?
Yep.
And talking about these things very, because you've got some people that are like, hey, if somebody says something, you have to believe them and you have to basically convict this person without due trial and stuff. And then there's other people that, you see what happened with Johnny Depp and some other stuff where it's like, we should probably be careful how hard we jump. We should take the claims seriously, and not disregard them. But we should also allow the other side to have their due. So
absolutely.
I can't, even if something, it's even if there's been some shady stuff that has gone on in a church, and somebody makes a claim or something like that, true or not, you can't just assume it's true no matter, because of a history of things that may or may not have happened in the past.
No, you got to look into that shit.
It's one of those things where it's like, okay, you're on high alert. We should really take this serious.
Yeah.
But people got to really watch. We've seen it before, right? I'm just playing a little bit of devil's advocate, but at the same time, you can never disregard these claims, and especially from, like you said, bro culture in workplaces and in the gaming world as well. Like we know firsthand. I mean, anybody that's even worked at a restaurant, I mean, the type of things that people say between each other, in 2021, that was probably even still today is being done on a regular basis. But I mean, fuck, when I was back there, I mean, shit, like, and today I'd have been canceled. You know what I mean? Like, just from like, just regular flirting when you're when you're in your late teens and your early 20s, and like fucking testosterone and estrogen is smacking all over the place, and
sometimes literally on break in between shifts.
Sometimes it's playful and both sides are engaging in it, but then somebody has a bad experience, and then they want to spin things like they weren't engaging in this as well. And it's just like, it's a very,
and sometimes it's legitimately malicious, and
sometimes it's absolutely malicious. People are fucking dirtbags, and they should be removed from their position and fired and should be held accountable. Abso-fucking-lutely. And a lot of the times it's more that than the other.
Yeah, it's true.
People are predators, man.
Yeah, it's 100%.
There's a lot of fucking horrible people out there. So, but I'm
Riot
on the side of
hiring a third party that's as impartial as I guess you're supposed to hope that this could possibly be, even though Riot's the one choosing them. Normally, you would like to see both in the court, both sides, the accuser and Riot come together and choose together, agree upon the third party, and not just have one party choose the
it might be super easy. She might have fucking emails or texts or messages and DMs.
Yeah, this could be like
it could be like, hey, look at this fucking dirtbag. This is what he said to me, because if what we're seeing here, like, the size of my underwear package or whatever the hell, and when my wife's around, can you bro, if that's true, you're fucked.
That's some like the part that made me think, like, other than going through all the legal hoops, when you start bringing in like the whole when the wife's not around, now you're on the verge of like you're a homewrecker territory. So you better be either somebody that is easy to sleep at night, or you better be bringing the truth in spades. So, we'll wait and see how that pans out. I have a sneaky suspicion this one's going to be settled outside of court, Mr. Black, but we're going to wait and see. We're going to wait and see what happens. Either way, if we get any tangible updates, we'll talk about it briefly.